When you're ready, Andy, it's all yours.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Construct Strategically Yarns with Andy. Today I've got Martin Edwards.
G'day, mate.
He's Martin and I worked on another confidential project that we're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have to kill you. Yep.
But yeah, a little bit about Martin. Martin's a really good methodologist, right? He's very, very clever at coming up with really cool methodologies for vertical buildings. But let's hear from Martin. Hi, Marty.
Hey, mate.
How's it going?
Oh, good, good. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, mate, well, thank you for being here.
No, no worries.
Really, really do appreciate your
No
time.
worries.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? And
Yeah. Well, look, I came to New Zealand about 25 years ago now, actually. Wasn't working in construction. I've got an avionics background, so I used to design,
I don't know
electronics
that.
for planes. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not a lot of call for that in New Zealand.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So
we don't build any airplanes, yeah?
I actually got a role at Auckland Airport.
Doing what?
In fire protection, just to it was the closest thing sort of to my engineering that the electronics background that I could sort of get into at the
Right.
time.
So were you working for an avionics company in the UK?
Yeah, Smiths Industries. It's a big industry,
Right.
big company in the UK. Used to build all those dials for planes. If your ears don't pop in the 777, I might have a little bit to do with that.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate you taking care of my
All
ears.
right, yeah, I'm
I
all
only
about
have
the
one
ears.
pair.
I'm all about the ears, mate. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of call. So I dabbled in fire protection for a while there and quite enjoyed it. And I was working for one of the main, or rather the fire protection company was working for one of the main contractors at the time.
Yeah.
And I got their attention.
Oh, right.
So they took me on back in the day as a services engineer, which was quite a new role back then.
That's right, yeah.
And then over time, over the next 25 years, just snipped away at construction.
For everybody's benefit, can you describe what a services engineer does?
They basically make sure all the lights, anything services like lifts, make sure the lifts go up and down instead of left and right. That's quite key in a building, you know.
Trans, yeah.
And basically that everything's coordinated with the structure and the architecture, because before that, you know, it was a bit hit and miss. They used to get these services drawings and there was freedom to all the services guys to go and do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. So that's electrical.
Yeah, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, hydraulic, drainage,
HVAC, yeah.
data security, lifts, and all those things would sort of go in with a level of randomness, which ultimately cost everyone money as you had to rip it out and start again.
Yeah, right.
So at the time, this new role, they're very much involved with trying to coordinate the drawings from consultants with the sort of build-in nature of the contractor.
Yep.
And eventually we started putting things in the right order and save a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet.
To all parties, because you get the blame game then about whose fault it was. And that's what it was. And that's evolved very much with the modern technology. That's almost hand in hand with BIM these days. So
that's quite interesting you bring that up. Yeah. How do you feel about having coordinated BIM models to resolve clash detections on sites?
It's the way. It's the only way.
Do you think it works?
100%. With the last company I was at, we've just finished it hasn't finished yet, but it's very close, the laboratory building at Massey University.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible result, outstanding result.
Wow.
So that was an ECI,
okay.
Or PCSA, Pre-Services Construction Agreement, where the builder got to sit down, have a seat at the table, design table, around about sort of 30% design, and then basically get that model, manage that model, make sure the clash detection is done in real design time rather than at the end of the design.
Right.
So
is that the key there?
That's the key. So in any PCSA, the key is getting all the collaborative people.
Can you describe PCSA for us?
Pre-construction services agreement. So
right. So that's like an ECI.
It's
process.
like an ECI.
It is early contract involvement.
Early contract involvement. It's the same thing really. But what it does, it gives a contractor who's shown some level of intelligence to be at that table.
Yep.
And he will help the client and the consultants deal with product selection, efficiency in terms of program. You know, is there a better way of building that structure? Is
design
there alternative
efficiency,
structures or product material you could use. All those things, get them at a point where you can develop a program early, identify early trades.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps go down the split consent route. All these things can help turn a traditional sort of 24-month design program and then another 24-month install program or actual construction program into something where you might take 6 months or even more off the program.
and that's massive.
I mean, that's saving the client money.
Yeah.
That's saving the builder money.
Yeah.
And it certainly makes the consultants look a lot better.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well, because
Yeah,
everyone's working together
and it
for
helps
the best outcome.
And it helps the builder get onto the next job quicker.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
more resources.
Look, it's been a bit, I think ECIs and PCSAs have been a bit 50-50. I think there's a perception out there from clients that they are not always the best thing. It depends how passionate the people at the table are.
Yeah.
So if you're a passionate company and you really want to, you know, make something special in that project, you can get some outstanding results. And given the complexity of future projects and given how hard government projects are in terms of trying to, you know, lasso all the consultants and the clients, users, and the build and the material in this current climate, why would you not go down that route?
Do you think that is the best procurement model that
look,
exists?
I think that sort
or would design and build for a construction company be better suited than a...
Well, a bit of both, really. There's no doubt that a PCSA is a fantastic ingredient into that procurement model. You know, all of a sudden you can work out that you can put a curtain wall in the building and it doesn't cost more money and it actually saves time.
Yeah, right.
You know, in the program, which is to
so you could get a
benefit.
better product by saving time.
And you can bring those guys in early.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden you're getting a performance specification for your curtain wall developed early. Yeah. Not just curtain wall, any performance specification trade. And they're working with you at that design table. Yeah. So you've coordinated all those cast-in brackets that always give you trouble because you normally start the shop drawing process after the tender. Yeah. So all those things where, you know, and
it probably stops the whole raft of paper trail of RFIs that are raised. I've always been amazed by the number of RFIs that are raised on a build-only project and an NZ3910 contract. I've got any NZ3910 contract. It's always been quite interesting to compare the quantum of RFIs raised.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
But then here's the interesting bit: those RFIs go to the designers, but the designers have no idea which ones are critical. So they knock off the easy RFIs first, but not necessarily the most critical ones. I find that real interesting.
It also gets a bit defensive for all those people in that equation there because no one likes to be wrong, do they? You know, or no one likes to be told there's a slightly better way of doing something that's going to save time and money. So, you know, having that early collaboration sort of saves the potential embarrassment for any party. It could be the client, consultant, or even the build company. You know? Working together at the front end is certainly going to produce better results. I think it's starting to really gain traction now.
Yeah, you think so? You've worked on a number of PCSAs, as you call them, or ECIs?
Yeah, definitely, and ECIs that also combine with design and construct as well. Yeah. The project that's confidential that we can't talk about, Classic, ECI. That led to design and build contract, which led to a really great collaboration between consultants who the contractor picked. Yeah. Consultants who are agile, flexible, and able.
You mean like me?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Agility is key here. Yeah. You know, if you know, no one wants to go down a design road and then all of a sudden hit a brick wall.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you do, it's how you react, and you know, it's how you're going to be measured in terms of the success of the procurement and the design. So having that front end, good choice of product, good choice of design. Yeah. Change design if you have to. Get everyone working together, and you can produce an outstanding result. I mean, I know that project's yet to be finished.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're the planner on it, and I understand it's progressing very well.
It is progressing very well.
So I think the answer's in what you're seeing now. Yeah. And certainly an even better if you like, measure will be how it is in the next 6 months, because we know it's a fast track project. But I mean, I think that will be a game changer, that one.
I think it'll be. It's a really cool job. I actually really enjoy working on that project. But thank you for bringing me on board on that project.
No worries, mate.
Appreciate it. I really enjoyed building the methodology on that.
Well, that highlighted the importance of the program, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I made the mistake there of trying to adapt an early program to every different type of concept that we came up with. And then you end up with Frankenstein's daughter in the program, don't you?
Hey, we simplified it in the end.
We did. But I mean, I think that's you make a good point. You need to make a brave decision at a certain point with the program and say, right, this is what we've got to do. Because this is what we're going to follow. This is our Bible. Let's face it, I don't think I'm telling an untruth when I state that the program is never pushed enough. It's never important enough. There's been too much put it in the bottom drawer. But in this new age, post-COVID world, where everyone still expects buildings to be built in the same time, program is more important than it ever has been.
I fully agree with you. I think I honestly believe time is actually way more important than money. Because you lose all your money, you can make more money, no problem. Well, you lose time, you can't buy time.
Isn't it?
Can't buy time.
No.
So the most valuable asset we've got is the time available to us and how effectively we use it. But unfortunately, in New Zealand, we don't give enough importance to time and program.
Look, to be fair, I think it is improving.
Yes.
I think so.
And hence I've set up strategic planning. And
I've learned a lot of lessons. I mean, every time I think, all right, that's it. I've hit that 9 out of 10 on program. And then someone called Andy comes on and shows me how. No, you're probably more like a 6, mate. So
no, mate, you're good. You're a 10. You're a 10. No, you're up there, man. You're up there. You get in there.
But you never stop learning, and that's the key here with program is to never let it sort of get on top of you. Learn from it and don't think you're the best at it.
Oh God, no. Yeah, exactly. Right now, I've been putting so much of my time, energy, and effort into 4D planning.
Well, there's another one that's starting to sort of show or demonstrate how important the program is. I mean, the P6, for example, the reporting that comes from it, and now the 4D, which sort of reinforces the reporting and tells everyone you can't hide.
No.
You can't hide if you're a client. You can't hide if you're the contractor.
I mean, and then it highlights the importance of good, honest reporting, doesn't it? I mean, because the program's the only place where you capture lag indicators or historic information with a view of the impacts of the future, or a view into the future, and cause and effect and whatnot. But it's quite interesting.
100%, mate. It's sort of, I mean, change is the biggest enemy of a project, and sometimes that change is self-inflicted, and sometimes that change is death by 1,000 cuts from design.
But change is the only constant. You tell me one project that you haven't had a single change on.
Yeah, it's. I guess change comes into it. No one likes the death by 1,000 cuts. So you expect change.
But then it also comes down to how well construction companies manage change. Because if you look at the real value of a construction company, say Fletcher or your ex-company Southbase, what's the real purpose? Is to manage change. Is to effectively manage change and deliver the product on time by managing subcontractors. If you can't effectively manage change, why have a Fletcher? Why have a Hawkins? Why have a Southbase? That's
right. I mean, that goes full circle back into that procurement and design process.
Absolutely.
The more control you have over that, perhaps you can get those constants or that change constant reduced. So if you.
But we're never going to eliminate it.
No, you're not. You're not.
Never will, because something's going to happen somewhere along the line. And I'll tell you, in my 12, 13 years of planning, I don't think I've ever delivered a program or been part of a project where we delivered the program as we intended it.
No. And but that's when that agility comes in, doesn't it?
That's it,
any
adaptability.
Exactly. Any good general always has some sort of plan B.
Contingencies.
4 contingencies. Yeah. Thinking ahead.
Yeah.
What would I do if?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes down to risk management as well.
I had a guest on earlier, James Hunt, and we had a really good conversation about risk. You should check out that podcast. We spoke a lot about risk management in there. It was quite cool. Yeah.
Well, it's identifying it. Everyone can identify a risk.
Yeah.
For any member of the team, it doesn't have to be the leaders.
Yeah, for sure.
All the guys who've bled in the trenches.
Identifying the risk is one thing, but managing it is completely a different thing, isn't it?
You can't manage it if you don't know it. So you got to sit down with the team and round that out. You've got to get that list.
Okay. Earlier on in our conversation, you said it was difficult managing government projects. I want to understand why a little bit more. What's your take on it?
Okay. Well, look, government projects are hard. I mean, they're the big projects, whether it's infrastructure.
But shouldn't it become a lot easier now that we have the construction accords in play?
Yes, it should.
Yep.
It should. But I guess positive changes is only as good as the amount of time you can afford to make those accords, to agree those accords.
The accords have been in play for 4 years, though.
You can't change. Yeah, they have. But look, we spoke about constants.
Yep.
The one thing we spoke about earlier is change is a constant. Okay.
Absolutely.
But it's also one of the big variables as well. Government projects are normally big. They're cumbersome. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of users. Yep. So without sort of saying anything negative, the more people you've got involved in that decision-making process, the harder it's going to be to eliminate all the variables, or at least to constant them out.
Yeah.
So I think that's one, and the construction accord is trying to sort of reduce that amount of bureaucracy, if you like, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But there are certain things that could make it easier.
Well, we've been waiting for a revision for NZ3910, which has been overdue, coming. Hopefully, it comes soon. I've been told it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, we get a contract that's
one that doesn't need a lawyer to check every single line, every single month would be quite nice.
Or one that you don't need a thick book of special conditions associated with it. That would be really good.
Well, that's right. That's right. Well, look, everyone's trying to, and I think this goes full circle back into that PCSA
and the procurement model.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another interesting question for you. So if you could take a government project and turn around and go, I would change one thing in their procurement process, or their entire procurement model, what would you do?
Get the right people in early enough. Whoever that might be. Don't be afraid to get the contractor in early.
So current government projects, are they mostly build only? Are they design and build? Or what are the sorts of projects that are coming out?
Build only would be the fundamental procurement model.
Okay. So
and that's for the government has a lot of probity around fairness in tenders, making sure that
they have rules.
There's always 3 subcontractors tendering or 3 contractors tendering. But look,
and you've got to be on the pre-qualified list to be able to tender.
Sometimes pre-qualified.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, I get that, and I understand why they have to be fair about all of that. But if they could go down to ECIs, do you think that would speed up the process of build and give them more clarity and better certainty on end dates?
I'm personally convinced it will. And I look, as we said earlier, the more people who have the same passion to get a building out or infrastructure out on time and below budget, that's a good thing. If you spread those people out as a daisy chain, well, daisy chain is self-explanatory. It takes ages, doesn't it, to weave those daisies together to get an end result. But
finish the start.
But if everyone's talking together, making those daisies at the same time, I'm talking about the daisies. It's a terrible analogy, isn't it? But
I get what you mean, though.
You get people working together, and if they're like-minded, I mean, you talk to most, good old school builders.
Yeah,
they're pragmatic. They just want to build shit, and they want to build it well, and they don't want to make mistakes along the way.
So how do you think digitalization fits into all of this? There's a whole piece we spoke about good old school builders, government projects, different forms of contracts. So in your opinion, where does construction digitalization fit into all of this?
Well,
and is that something you're personally
finally we have a platform in which we can actually build the building before we build the building.
BIM.
You know,
Yeah.
BIM.
Yeah.
Digitization. Look, you know, again, I'll go back to the Massey IC project. We built that in that 3D world.
Yeah.
You know, we knew it was going to be good. In fact, the only areas that turned out to be a slight hiccup were the areas that someone thought, oh, we don't need to model that.
Yeah, right.
And it was those areas
that ran into problems.
Where we ran into problems. But because generally 99% of it was model, we didn't have those problems. You can go in there into that building now, and you can project the before and after in terms of the model, and you're not seeing a difference.
Yeah.
Or if you do, it's minor.
Yeah,
it's minor.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing I think in that sort of clash detection world is making sure that you use the right criteria for the space between elements. There's no point in saying, well, look, we're not going to allow for the insulation on the pipe. The insulation is a physical body. It's going to sit in the same space if you don't put a space requirement around it, so that you know when there's an earthquake, these things can swing without hitting each other.
Yeah.
So basically, in a model, 50 millimeters is really zero.
Zero tolerance. Yeah.
You know?
So I've mostly only worked on build-only projects, and we've always tried to implement clash detection, which is not BIM, by the way. The whole of the industry thinks clash detection is BIM, but there's a lot.
No.
Building information modeling is much bigger than clash detection, but I think there's massive room for improvement in our clash detection process and the way we go about it to get a federated model. I think there's look, huge scope for improvement.
You're quite right, Andy. I think it's slowly getting that truth is slowly getting out there now.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a few other forums where we can sort of demonstrate that process, at least digital clash detection, as part of the. It's not essentially that part of the model. Yeah. You know, there's the whole room of things that need to happen in the model, asset management as well, which is another natural marriage for models.
Because there's one project, I won't name the project, that I worked on a few years ago, and the clash detection process was so complex, and I tried to understand the process of how they go about which service trade goes first, and then how you federate the model, and then how you redo the clash detection and refederate the model. Oh my God, that process sounded so complex. I was like, dude, why don't you just take a 2D drawing, bring all the trades together, go stand on site, look up at the ceiling, mark out.
Well, they've done that before.
Yeah, of course.
And that didn't always work out that well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because someone always sort of gets there first. Someone sort of is waiting for one trade to come in, and then they don't make it on that day.
Isn't this predefined? Isn't this who's got priority on the ceiling space?
Yeah, that's exactly the way we used to do it. We used to literally get a section of a corridor, draw coloured zones, and say, you go there first, you go there next. Yeah. And by the way, if you jump the bus, you're paying for the other guy to install his stuff. Yeah. Did it work that well? Look, I think if you're disciplined, it can work well. It's worked. You know, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. It's probably the best I managed on one of my projects back in the day as a services engineer to do that. If you said to me, what score would I give Massey IC, I would probably give it a 9.5.
Okay, interesting.
A 9.5, and it wasn't that hard because we started early, because we got the consultants talking. They had a chat room on Revisto. Revisto is a great, it's a great tool for not only for seeing the model, seeing how everything works together, and filtering out what you want to see or don't want to see, and you can set up your controller for, it's like a game, and you get a choice. You can use a game controller. So even if you're a youngster, you can use a gaming one. If you're an old timer like me, who does a lot of SketchUp, you can just emulate the same controls you'd use for SketchUp.
Yeah. So that's the key then, isn't it? So if you want to go down the path of good clash detection.
There is a system. There is a flow diagram as such.
Get involved early. Yeah. Start the process early.
Start the process early. Decide who is going to go first. So give them a week, then that trade a week, then that trade a week.
Is it too late? Is it too late to start it on a build-only job once the building is consented?
Oh, look,
in your opinion,
it's not.
In your opinion,
it's not impossible, but I think you're pushing the proverbial uphill a bit there at that point. You're getting back into your old school old school way of doing it,
Yeah.
which can be done. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of more trial and error.
Yeah.
Ravisto has a chat room in it.
Yeah.
So you literally say to, hey, Mr. Structural Engineer, can you just move is it possible to move the beam or the penetration through the beam left 50 mil? And he'll come back and say, yeah, no, whatever it is.
And then sort it out immediately.
But,
That's cool.
So the clash detection is sort of happening in real time.
Yeah.
You know?
So, sorry, I know we're getting a bit into clash detection a bit deep.
Well, it helps a project because if
absolutely.
if you're not taking stuff down,
yeah.
And we talk about services, but between architecture and facade, all these things are great things to have in your model.
Yeah.
Get those brackets in the
right location.
in the right location for the facade.
Yeah.
And you're not taking down facade.
How many times does that happen?
Talk to Thermosash about how well it can be done.
Yeah.
It'd be really good. You should get Thermosash here for a chat about
how
we can improve, if you like, the enabling works for facade.
Yeah, right.
Look, historically, everyone's very wary of facade companies because they tend to be really hard to work with. They're not hard to work with. They just follow rules.
Yeah.
If we build the building to those rules, when they come along,
be quite simple.
Boom, boom, boom. It's just Lego.
Yeah,
so
building is
if
Lego,
you don't do that, that's when you have problems.
Yeah.
And that's where, and I think Thermosash would agree, being able to have everyone early in the PCSI, as well as the model, you're ironing out problems that would normally wait until 6 months into the build project.
Yeah, right.
And then
I
you've
would
got to wait
love
for
to
the
have
product.
somebody from Thermosash come in and have a chat about that.
Look, I'm sure they would.
That would be a really, really interesting topic to talk about.
I think it's a great topic, and I think they would love to come in and sort of sell their version of the world.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? That's what this podcast is all about. Is giving people a platform to voice their opinion. People who kind of deal with the real day-to-day situations on a construction site, and that's the only reason I started this podcast, is to create that platform. But anyways,
all of which, if we go back to the question about government projects,
yes,
all of these things can simplify government projects.
Yeah, I mean, not just government projects. Should be any any construction project, right? I mean, the only reason I dug into the construction projects was to understand the procurement process, which looks like there's scope for improvement, and I mean, based on the rules. Who knows? I don't know.
I think there's a will out there, particularly from the lessons learnt with COVID and material shortage. I sort of get the feeling from talking to people that there is a will from the various government bodies. I mean, we need a lot more hospitals. We need a lot more roading. How can we build these things under this current climate where we've got these massive material shortages?
No, it's not just material; it's a resource shortage.
Resource, people.
It's a massive resource shortage.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and skilled resource. Not just any resource.
So the more you can plan ahead and have that ticked off before you even sort of go out for that final tender, because you've had a contractor in that mix. But then again, if you zoom up into those 100 mil plus projects, which some of these hospital projects are going to be that order of magnitude, and heading up towards $1 billion.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Some of these things.
Yes. There's a $1 billion project out there.
Then maybe they're going to have to think about alliances.
Yeah. Mate, like I've always said, the oldest saying, prior planning prevents bespoke performance. Totally selling myself here.
Well, look, and that's another thing. Client getting the program in early as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen a lot of clients actually develop their own programs. I haven't come across them.
Well, they generally have an ideal that they want, some sort of first prize in terms of when the building's built. But the various change constants we spoke about earlier are not taken into account. Here's our gold-plated program. What can we do? But if you don't involve contractors, supply chain into how long these deliverables are to meet a program like that, then you're really you're putting a pin on a map. You may be right, you may not be. Bit of luck involved.
Yeah.
So you get the supply chain involved about how long things really are going to take. How long is it going to take to get those base isolators from America? How long is it going to take to get those generators
long leads
from the UK? Is there benefit in ordering those early? From the client's perspective, Is it worth looking at an alliance model that brings more than one company in?
Yeah.
To get a really good outcome.
Yeah.
I've worked on one alliance down in the South Island. Project Creoc was the name. It was with Hawkins at the time.
Oh yeah.
Great project.
Yeah.
The only way they could build it out in the middle of nowhere, south of Dunedin, was to pull a load of companies together, create a bit of competitive edge amongst them in terms of different companies were building different parts of it, all under the one banner, a collaborative agreement. There was a bit of pain and gain in there, but I'm sure your viewers will tell me if I'm wrong, but what I am aware of about that project,
our viewers, Marty,
our viewers will tell you if we're wrong, is that project is one of the most efficient heating cooling buildings in the country, and this is a really cold part of the country.
Yeah, right.
Just because we got that design right. Yeah. And we were able, because it was an alliance, we were able to pressurize people because they had skin in the game.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
And did it cost a bit more than probably your traditional build? Probably a little bit more. Yeah. Have we gone back to fix it, or has the government had to go back and fix it and maintain it?
Very little. Yeah.
Whereas, look, I think we're all aware of the leaky building issues, maintenance issues, and in hospitals and other buildings around the country where you've had to go back and spend millions getting it right.
Billions.
Let's spend the right money at the front end getting it right, because that's a lot better use of our taxpayers.
Measure twice, cut once.
Our money.
Yeah, taxpayers' money, absolutely. Anyways, Marty, I think we're running out of time, but before we wrap up, you've gone consulting recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about your experience and how has it been for you personally, transitioning from full-time employment to being a consultant? I'm interested.
I didn't know I was going to consult.
And I didn't know either until you called me and said, "Hey, Andy, oh, by the way, I'm doing this." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I've been in the business 25 years, and I've seen all the pain from tendering and procurement, sort of interpretation of the design drawings in your traditional models, in your traditional procurement models. And I guess I was coming to a point where I want to effect some sort of change in that, but I just simply couldn't do it from where I was anymore. Anyone who knows me knows I'm passionate about hospitals, and that's one of the areas where I feel like that's where I want to affect the change most. We need to build more infrastructure, hospital infrastructure.
Any interest in the Dunedin Hospital?
Oh, look, I know a few people on that one. Yeah. It's a tough gig down there.
I bet it is. Yeah,
right at the end of the country to try and get everyone's attention, to motivate everyone to contribute towards that. Yeah. It won't be easy.
I think it'll be a challenging job. But
it will be a challenging job.
See what happens. Yeah.
But there's a really good bunch of the supply chain down there. Really good, really loyal. They'll really back someone if they believe you. So the key to any contractor down there is get the belief of that supply chain down there, and they will produce miracles for you.
Well,
shout out to all the boys in Dunedin who used to work with for Project Creoc. But they're a really good bunch of guys.
We'll keep a close eye on that job. I will, at least. Yeah. Anyways, Marty, I'm really appreciate you coming here, taking the time out, and having a really good discussion.
Yeah.
And you know what? More importantly, wish you all the best to the new consultancy.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think. I think after a few weeks of it now, I don't think I'll be going back the other way again. Never say never, I suppose.
Never say never. But it's an interesting world. Now you've got to do your own taxes now.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, mate. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience, or?
Follow this man. He creates interesting debate. So hopefully this is not the last time I'm here. I'll see you again.
I'm sure we'll see you again. Cheers, mate. Thank you.